When this show was first announced, there was a lot of immediate backlash, and I'll admit to you guys, I wasn't an Ironheart comic book reader, so I didn't know very much about the character. But as we got closer and closer to the series release, the noise seemed to get louder and louder to the point where I started to wonder what the beef was with this particular character. So when the show was finally released a few days ago, I thought I should cover it here on the channel, so ultimately that's what I decided to do. And after having watched the miniseries from start to finish twice now, I found the story to be rather defensive from the very beginning. The opening image of the series starts with a hazy flashback that includes Riri, the show's main character, hanging out with her best friend Natalie as she records a video on her phone for social media where she proclaims that she's going to be bigger than Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Hank Pym, and Tony Stark combined, which I found to be profoundly disrespectful of a Marvel character so beloved that they brought the actor who played that character back to play an entirely different character after his original character died. And as a fan of Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, I thought this was a grave mistake, but the Iron Man slander doesn't stop there. Riri goes on to spend the entire series taking thinly veiled shots at Tony Stark in a way that makes her feel deeply insecure, blaming the fact that she hasn't reached the level of achievement that he did on the fact that he had $1 billion and she doesn't. Leaving one to ask a stupid question. If Riri Williams is so smart, after having gone to Wakanda for an internship with Shuri and receiving the Tony Stark Fellowship to MIT, why can't she figure out an honest way to make a living? Well, the answer to that question turns out to be equally stupid. It's because she doesn't want to get her degree from MIT and take a 6-figure job in Palo Alto with a tiny window and a bunch of guys she has to pretend to like. So instead, she gets herself expelled from MIT and moves back home to join a criminal organization made up entirely of minorities, because we all know that all minorities do is commit crimes. And they pilfer and pillage from those who obviously have more privilege than they do, only for her to have the group turn on her midway through the series when she kills a member of said group. And this is the point where we are supposed to forget about her many criminal trespasses, because she's poor and black, and root for her as she tries to redeem herself and take down the very crew she was once a part of. Now, overall, I give this series a 50% or 5.0 if you're thinking IMDb score. Look, this show had potential, and I see what the showrunners were trying to accomplish here, but the show's main character was simply put poorly written, as was the story as a whole. In fact, I'm already hearing that there won't be a second season to the show, and I blame that entirely on how the show and the character were written. I wonder if the writers truly understand that Riri Williams comes off just as much a villain as she does a hero, and that's definitely not what you want in a superhero series. And apparently, according to Dominique Thorne herself, if you don't see Riri Williams as a hero, much less one superior to Iron Man, then you're either too stupid or too racist to have an opinion about the show in the first place. I say all that to say that I completely understand why so many people have an issue with this show, and quite frankly, I wish Disney would stop pushing poorly written females on us by bad screenwriters and then trying to shame us into loving them for it after the backlash.